In case you are not aware of the said news, in the recent days there was another death of a raw vegan, and I am expecting that there will be a lot of videos from vegans talking about that it's not veganism's fault, that the person was on an extremely restricted diet, that they had an ED, and that if they followed my super vegan diet, my super like 30, 50 bananas a day, bowl of rice protocol, they would have never had this ED. They would be healthy and thriving and have flat abs, but without extreme wasting and so on and so forth. The person's not getting enough calories and blah, blah, blah. There will be a ton of videos on that it's not veganism's fault, and that there are balanced, proper vegan diets out there. And today I would like to comment on that, because when Jeanne d'Arc passed away, there was a bunch of videos on that, how Jeanne d'Arc was not a proper vegan and was an ED, and how her mere existence and death threatened vegan movement because it distorts the vegan movement. Now there will be the same thing again, over and over and over. And I want to discuss why it's a lot to do with veganism, because veganism is one of the major mindfucks that exist on planet Earth nowadays, and it's a very dangerous cult that separates human, that splits personality and detaches a human from their body, from their senses, from their perception, and it substitutes nutrition with metaphysical beliefs. And veganism in general is an eating disorder because you take voluntarily, without any prescription other than words of some vegan MD. All of them should lose their license immediately because they say so much nonsense, they say so much misinformation. They spread such a dangerous message. You listen to some vegan MD or vegan influencers, and you voluntarily take out the entire food group from your diet, and you substitute at least some fraction of it, and you substitute some fraction of that nutrition with some synthetic analogs, with medication. So this is what you're doing. You refuse to consume nutrition, you refuse to consume food, and you substitute food with synthetic pills. And speaking of which, what you will be substituting will be always limited by what is known to science, what reaches the audience, what is commonly known, and by your awareness of that, of what exists in the media about those nutrients. But those nutrients, the nutrition science is dynamically developing field, so there are always new insights coming up. So you are going to have incomplete diet, plus all synthetic substitutes. They're not bioidentical to what you find in nutrition. So you will be malnourished. Automatically, you will be malnourished on a vegan diet. And I have a playlist discussing why, because there are about 20 nutrients that are commonly known to science that are missing or hardly obtainable on a vegan diet. And you must be aware of that. If you're a vegan, resist the temptation to skip on that and research that, because that may prevent you, the failure to be aware of that may cost you a lot of potentially repairable health outcomes. So veganism is an ED, because now imagine a person substituting nutrients with medication. Substituting food with pills. It's screwed up. So, and this is veganism. This is the essence of veganism. You take metaphysical beliefs, the same as people who have like some body image disorders, for example. They have a concept, and because of that concept, because of their aesthetical belief, they pursue certain diets, they remove foods to seek certain body image. They regard a lot of foods as harmful, promoting like weight gain and whatnot, and they reject them. Vegans do the same. Veganism is not an ethical belief stance, as vegans love to scream in the comments. Veganism is an aesthetical belief because all the effects of veganism, of vegan diet, vegan nutrition on the environment, they're just double hidden. Because people who are omnivores, who eat animal products, they pay someone to slaughter animals, to acquire animal products. Vegans eat products that are still based on deaths of many animals, but they just reject to admit that. So it's fully aesthetical belief. You just don't have dead animals on your plate. You have dead animals in the fields. This is the only difference. It's fully aesthetical. It's not ethical. So the same thing happens when people have eating disorders stemming from, let's say, body image disorders. There is also aesthetical belief that prevents people from eating food. Veganism is an eating disorder. Now, when it comes to deaths of raw vegans, yes, people sometimes they die. They go on extreme diets. And how does it tie to veganism then? Veganism already sets you on the path of ED because you remove whole food groups, you disregard a whole bunch of essential and conditionally essential nutrients and you remove them from your diet. You're on medication. You fully rely on some factory that produces you some synthetic substitutes. There is one of the common statements that I hear a lot, that veganism is not about health. When you start talking about negative health outcomes that become result of following a vegan diet, following vegan lifestyle, it's always the same thing. It was never about health. Veganism is not about you. Veganism is not about your health. Veganism is about animals. Veganism is about ethics. Veganism is about morals. When you start analyzing those statements, they are completely false. This is a lie because bringing people to veganism usually happens through health, through promise of health, because not everyone is fully open to the ethical aspect of that. And usually veganism is not advertised as this is your sacrifice of health in the name of animals and environment and future generations, which is oxymoronic. Because you cannot produce healthy future generations if you sacrifice your health. So it's an oxymoron. But veganism is always advertised as and. You gain health and you support the environment. And whenever you read the chats of vegans, they all have the idea of excellent health and purity and avoiding cardiovascular disease and cancer. So this is what is commonly talked about. Vegan MDs, they talk about avoiding cardiovascular disease and cancer, even though it's not right because there are a lot of nutritional deficiencies and problems that actually lower resistance of body to cancers and tumors, and also things that can contribute to development of cardiovascular disease and stroke. So this is a misleading promise, but many people actually go for it because on the short run, yes, following vegan plant-based diets can lower cholesterol, and for people who already have certain problems with their cardiovascular health, hypertension, diabetes and stuff, this can give temporary relief before the person goes into the completely malnourished state. Especially if person comes from processed food diets and adopts a whole food plant-based diet temporarily, it will be a very good window of opportunity for improvement of certain biomarkers as of conventional medical science nowadays. There is always a promise that veganism will provide health, and it's usually advertised as a long-term investment. Basically, you go now, you follow a discipline of veganism right now in order to avoid cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cancer later on. So there is some future that you cannot yet see that you're working towards. Because you see that, okay, makes sense. There are like already 2 generations who were raised and lived their life on processed foods and some crappy diets and some cheap foods that are fully infested with a bunch of crap. You see the consequences of that, and veganism provides seemingly good alternative because it removes certain offenders, even though it doesn't. Again, veganism screws up your balance of fatty acids. It destroys your blood vessels, bones, collagen, everywhere else. It destroys your gut and so on. But there is this promise that sometime down the road you will avoid things that, for example, your relatives, people that you see around you who are in middle age and in senior age are experiencing. So you will be avoiding that horror by following vegan diet. And when people go on this diet, they usually feel some discomfort because suddenly you need to eat some enormous amounts of food in order to get all nutrition, and that is promoted. You need to eat more. Everybody, every vegan MD, every vegan resource says that you need to eat more. There are influencers who say that you need to stretch your stomach, that you need to learn to fit in more food. This is so natural to stuff yourself with food. This message alone draws people with EDs who love to stuff themselves. It's not natural to be stuffed. It's not natural to eat all the time. It's not natural to eat enormous amounts of food because you're not supposed to stretch your stomach. For efficient work of your stomach and digestive system, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're not supposed to be eating all the time because you need to restore your dental enamel. You need to give rest to your enzyme producing system and so on. But people go on this diet and they face certain discomforts oftentimes. There are people who are, for example, intolerant to legumes, beans, soy, and grains. People like me, for example. I cannot handle those foods. People who tend to struggle with water retention, they will not be able to eat a lot of starchy foods and such. And those people think that, okay, if something is healthy, it's supposed to be healthy long term, why does it feel so bad short term? It sounds unreasonable, so there must be a way to improve my diet. So instead of following the diet that is like advertised as an exemplar vegan diet based on whole grains and legumes, you start seeking alternatives because this thing doesn't work. Like your joints hurt, you have IBS, you have migraines, it doesn't feel right. You feel stuffed, you feel heavy, sluggish, you feel... So those people naturally get drawn to other schools of thought. For example, they're like, okay, eat more greens. Okay, I will be eating more greens. I will be seeing how else can I get protein, how else can I get all the essential micronutrients from diet. And you discover the alternatives. There are alternatives. There are raw vegan diets. Raw vegan diets, I think, attract people specifically who are not capable of sustaining a so-called normal vegan diet based on seitan, which is wheat gluten, which is based on tofu, which is soy, and enormous amounts of tofu, like fermented tofu and such, enormous amounts of beans and grains. So you go into those alternative systems, like rotilivore, like fruits, starchivore, and whatnot, whatever schools of thought exist. Because you cannot cope with this, like, you have like delayed gratification in the future that's promised by vegan MDs. But you're like, but it feels terrible in the moment. So what do I do? There must be a solution. I must find my formula because there are so many people who are thriving on a vegan diet. We see so many influencers who are saying that they're thriving on a vegan diet and they're all doing different things. There's no such thing as a normal vegan diet. You start researching because if you have normal psyche, then you kind of want to feel good. And you are already in the vegan paradigm. So you don't consider substituting certain offensive foods with just animal foods and eating normally, getting all the nutrition. No, when you are on the veganism, it not only satisfies some of your moral pursuits, some of your desires, some missionary desires to improve the world, to contribute to world evolution, to human evolution, to do good, to respect the ecosystem, to respect the animals. It also satisfies your consumer needs because you can buy so much. You can buy so much food. You can buy so many supplements. You can buy so many powders, so many resources, courses, books, and whatnot because it's for good cause. So it's very honorable type of spending. So you are fulfilling also your consumer needs through going vegan. It's a very pleasant lifestyle to be on because it has a strong idea. It's supposedly a long-term delayed gratification in the future in terms of your health and well-being. And it's a self-care ritual as well. It's a daily self-care that is also conducive of consumerism. Because everybody knows that there are several tens of thousands of edible plants on the planet. So you want to discover all that. It's also ritualistic to buy all those supplements, to eat all those powders and whatnot. So it's a very captivating lifestyle. You don't want to just quit on it because you see that people are thriving and they say that you just need to find some formula that will work for you. So people start searching. They discover raw veganism. And there are many schools of thought that deny nature, like biochemistry that we're aware of, that deny the insights of normal nutritional science and that go beyond that. Because I was basing my raw vegan diet. It was high fat, low sugar raw vegan diet because I did not see how fruitarianism is an option, because plus fruits are impossible to find unless you live in tropics, unless you live near the plantation of tropical fruits. You're not going to have seasonal good quality fruits all year round. It's impossible almost everywhere in the world. Starches never worked for me because I'm prone to migraines. They cause water retention. So I found a lot of pleasure in high green, high seed, high fat, high omega-3 raw vegan diet. Some people will see that this doesn't work for them because, for example, eating a big salad is not something that they want to do. Some people will say that leafy greens are dangerous for your health and you're not supposed to eat them. You're supposed to get all of your calories and micronutrients from fruits, because fruits are the most bioavailable plant food. Some people will be saying that seeds are, like, for example, I ate sprouted lentils. Seeds and sprouts, they are not healthful because they contain certain compounds that are intoxicating and stuff like that. Then there will be people who will feel bloating, who will feel like eating enormous amounts of fiber doesn't work for them. And then there will be gurus who will be saying that, oh, it's because your microbiome is screwed up, even though it's false, because if you eat a lot of fiber, bacteria in your gut eats that fiber. Bacteria who can process this fiber eats that fiber and produces gases, one of the metabolites. So being bloated on high fiber regimen is totally normal. So people don't realize that. They're told that you need to do some colonics, you need to do some detoxes, you need to do juice fasting, you need to do all of those cleanses. Some people go that route and they try to fix something that is completely normal by flushing out a bunch of bacteria from their gut, so temporarily reducing the population of bacteria such that fiber is not being processed by that bacteria anymore in such amounts, until this colony of bacteria grows again and starts blooming and producing enough gas. But then they know that they can do some colonics or some fasting and flush out this colony of bacteria and start over again. There is this method as well. This is how people go in those detoxes, because this diet does not work. This diet gives them immediate discomfort. This diet does feel bad in the moment. But you keep in mind that later on there will be gratification. When all of your peers will be fat and sick, you will be super healthy. Because you've been vegan, you've been disciplined your entire life. So that is what's in the head. And plus also you're doing good, and you will not, this is regard also is that, oh, I will not create this karma. That's why I will be rewarded with all those health outcomes later on. So this is how it's viewed usually. They go on all those regimens, they try to eliminate foods. They go on the path of elimination further and further. They try to find their formula. Just as any influencer out there is trying to find their formula and demonstrating it. Just as any author of any vegan course is finding their formula. Just as any vegan blogger is posting about this herb will help your hormones. When no herb without precursors to form hormones will do anything. All of those herbal things, all of those plant things can only redirect the reaction that already has supply of precursors for reaction to happen. The herb cannot create precursors in your body. So there is a lot of ancient Greek mythology going on. But effectively, all those raw vegans who die from their diet, they're doing exactly the same thing as any other vegan does. They're trying to find their formula. And unlike certain vegans who try to stay on the rails of, okay, there's like conventional nutritional science tells me that I need those nutrients, they go a step further, they challenge that paradigm. So a lot of vegans, they stop at that point because despite all of the immediate negative health effects, they can still cope with them because there's some fear, there's some self-preservation going on that if I remove this food group, I guess it's not going to be good. But some people try because they have this conflict that why feel crappy in the moment and expect that it will be good down the road. They seek feeling good now. But then what happens is that eventually, when they start exhausting their stores, when they start getting super malnourished by eliminating more and more and more food groups, then there's already body dysmorphia, then there's already totally different rhetoric happening in their head. And this is already a very serious psychiatric disease, psychiatric and physiological disease as well. Even if person realizes sometime that there is a trouble and they need to seek treatment, usually it happens too late, because as the body gets malnourished, progressively malnourished, the tone of stomach and gut walls, they lose their tone. Person is not able to properly digest, propel food. They are not able to produce digestive enzymes. They're not able to sustain normal microbiome for digestion of food, of most foods. And then we already enter territory where only the medical specialists can save them. There is no diet, there's no dietary intervention that can save those people. And this happens it happens very slowly. It's a frog in hot water boiling. People don't see it until it's too late usually. And then another thing is that when people are on vegan diet, they're in the bubble. They see that other people are struggling with the same things. And they see that they're onto something, that they see that there's a solution. And then they see that there are people who are also maybe somewhere underweight. Their face looks different and looks similar to yours. So you stop because the veganism is in the core of veganism is to juxtapose it lifestyle to what is commonly practiced in the world. You shut yourself down from the world. You refuse to look at anything from that external world because the external world is sick and stupid. You don't seek any role models outside of veganism. And inside of veganism, you find people who resemble you, who resonate with you, have the same problems as you, and you see their path, and you see yourself in them. And you see, through that, you normalize everything that's happening with you. That's why you don't see it until it's too late. And then, unless a person manages to get into the medical facility where it's already 50% chance to survive, to save the person who is at the stage of extreme destruction of digestive system and other organs in the body, unless they seek medical attention, they're gone, because it's a very difficult recovery to accomplish. Needs to be the treatment of refeeding syndrome must be performed under medical supervision with IVs, with blood work, with monitoring of blood pressure and pulse and everything, and with very, very carefully curated diet. Introduction of foods is very difficult because, again, the foods can literally be treated by the body as toxins at that point. Actually, this is what veganism starts with. You treat animal foods as toxins. You just expand the pool of what is toxin to you. And then you end up at the point where, indeed, everything but some, fruit juice is perceived by the body as toxin. And that's why people need to have some compulsory feeding at the clinic in the end. But at the core, it's just the subset of veganism, of what veganism does to the brain of a person. It's no different. It's exactly the same thing. You substitute nutrition with the concept, just like with any ED. You just increase the scale of it. But it's 100% something to do with veganism. And I stand with that, and I think that all arguments saying that all of those raw vegan deaths have nothing to do with veganism are completely false. Because every vegan is at risk of that happening. Every single vegan is at risk of this happening. Because there will be a cliff at which most vegans, predominant amount of vegans, will feel some health issues because of exhaustion of some significant, important, essential nutrient. There will be the cliff. And past that cliff, there will be hysteria, there will be some moment where you try to scramble to find the solution. And you will be saying that you should go to, if some problem arose, you need to go to vegan nutritionist. You can get vegan nutritionist certificate for $600 in 6 months. Then you can put that diploma that you will receive on the wall and forget what you learned and do and say whatever you want. Nutrition by Victoria is a nutritionist. She has master's degree. She has graduate degree in nutrition science. She has no clue about human biochemistry and nutrition science. And she herself is the prime example of that it doesn't work in practice, what she knows, what she actually did learn from her so-called nutritional science course. It's, I have an interview, please watch it, where person's child was not gaining weight on a vegan diet, very well-balanced, high-calorie vegan diet. They went to a dietitian, not nutritionist, dietitian, clinical dietitian. Dietitian prescribed their child to eat cake and sweets after meals to gain muscle and bone. I challenge you, every of you, to start eating a lot of cake and dessert after every meal and show me your progress in muscle and bone gain. It's nonsense. There is no such thing as vegan nutritionist. There is no such thing as vegan dietitian. Because nutrition is food. Vegan nutritionist can help you to get certain medications to correct somehow correct your nutritional voids. They have nothing to offer from the world of nutrition to you. Nothing. They will be prescribing you pills, medications. It's not nutrition. So whenever you hear vegan nutritionist, it's bullshit. Whenever you hear vegan dietitian, it's bullshit. There are rare cases when people have medical conditions that prevent them from consuming animal products. And those people are usually under medical supervision. They perform their dietary changes, modifications, to treat this condition, to keep it under control, to enable them to consume animal products again. But when you're voluntarily refusing that, it's nonsense. Any normal dietitian, if a vegan comes to them, reports to them certain health problems and nutritional voids, nutrition-induced problems, dietitian should ask them, what do you eat? And when they hear that the person voluntarily refuses to eat animal products, dietitian should say that, reintroduce animal products. The animal products contain all nutrition that you need, all missing nutrition that you need. Then person will start saying that, oh, I do it for my ethical beliefs, I cannot eat animal products. Then the dietitian should just kick them out and refuse to participate with the person and refer them to the psychologist first. They need to go through mental institution first in order to proceed with dietitian. Because they voluntarily refuse to receive food. They refuse to receive nutrition. And this is the root of raw vegans dying from their diets. Thank you for watching.